Good morning and welcome to our official Alive Connect service on Facebook Live. And now with Ed and Tanya.
Good morning, our Alive community. God bless you on this Sabbath day. And I'm here as we begin with my wife Tanya. And we're coming to you straight into your homes. We thank you for that opportunity on this Sabbath morning. And I just wanted to have a welcome to all of the young people, the young adults, and also to our church family that's listening to us, that's connected to us this morning. I want to welcome you to our service as we're about to begin our Connect worship this morning. And we would like everyone to participate in the service. And Tanya, what do you think? Anyone else that I forgot?
I want to say hi to Joab and Maria Aguilar.
Very good. Awesome.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Amen. Fantastic. So a shout out to everyone that's out there. Maybe you have some visitors or friends in your home. Just a shout out to them. Thank you for joining. And thank you for being part of our Connect worship this morning. Before we begin, why don't we bow our heads in a word of prayer this morning. Our Father and our God, we want to thank you, Lord, for this tremendous opportunity we have to worship you in a different venue, in a different way on this Sabbath day. Be with us, Lord, those that are here as we are reaching out to all the family and friends, Lord, in our community. Be with those maybe that normally don't tap into our community, but today's their first time, Lord. May it be for your honor and glory, and reach out and touch each and every one of these individuals, Lord. We thank you. We thank you for this opportunity that we have today. Be with us and keep us, Lord, is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. Fantastic. So as we begin our worship this morning, I just have a few little administrative items that I wanted to go over so that we can get those out of the way before we go into our study. And the first thing is, I wanted to let you know, during the worship that we have this morning, I would like for you, the families there within your families, to send us a picture by the end of the worship today at 12:25 of how you connect with your families at your home. I'll give you an example. So send us a picture of you and your family praying, right? Send us a picture of you and your family, maybe next Sabbath, the top 4. So we'll have 3 and then 4 of honorable mention, and we'll take it from there. So we can spice it up a little bit and get involvement.
We want you to get creative.
Fantastic.
Use the word connect as the word that helps you to get creative with your family as to how you connect with one another. How do you connect with nature? How do you connect with your friends, with family? Use creativity. This is a time where, we're home and our minds are just wandering. So let's use it for good. Be creative, and like Ed said, we're gonna choose the top 4, and we'll see what we can do with that.
See what we can do. I also want to welcome, very importantly, because it's nice to see faces. I haven't seen faces in a while. I love my family, I love them dearly, but after a while, we see the same faces every day,
we're
right?
so happy here because
We're
you
out.
can't see them, but we are looking at Manny, Anthony Sandino, Tatiana, and Elibet. So we're thrilled, and they are saying hello to you as well from behind the scenes.
Amen. Amen. So that's item number 1. So please get those pictures to us as soon as you can, and again, be creative as time is set. The other item is when we're done here with our Connect worship, we'll probably be 12:25, 12:30, take a little break, and then we'll reconnect again at 12:50 for our live service in the sanctuary. So please, so that you can schedule your time. So that's very, very important.
We want to say hi to Albert Alonso, Miralis Herrera, Carla, and Jessica Giustiano. Hello, welcome.
Welcome. Awesome.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining. So everyone, please let us know that you're there. It's awesome to be here with you guys today. And just to start, let's get going. To start our Connect worship, what I wanted to do is I wanted to ask the families individually or together as a whole an open-ended question. And if you could send your responses to us here. And that is, how has God spoken to you this week? Or how has he spoken to your family? Or maybe some of the young people there. If you can share with us, we're going to give you a minute or so, how God has connected with you in how God spoken to you this week. God speak to us at all times. So we're going to give you a minute to get back in touch with us. We'll be here.
With coronavirus.
Always participates. Thank you so much for your participation. Amen. By the grace of God. That's great to hear. Any other families that would like to respond to that question? How? Just interact with us.
We want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you.
Maria, what was God telling you this week? Joab, Margarita, all of you that are watching, we want you to participate.
Yes, David,
so that
Junior.
we don't feel lonely.
Yes, please.
Kenneth. Let us know your thoughts.
Let us know.
God has talked to each and every one of us in different ways. And so we want to hear what you have to say so that we can share it with all of those that are watching and listening.
In the meantime, I'd like to say for me individually, because I'm someone that loves news, and I think God spoke to me this week, and God focused and told me, He says, Edgar, I don't want you to be watching so much news because it's so negative. And so I want you to stay focused on my word. And so anytime I think of putting on the news, I say, you know what, let me open up the Bible and read a verse or two, and it's something positive. It's something that keeps me focused on God and not focused on what's going on outside. Obviously, we want to be informed, but we also don't want to get so negative. And that's very important because also I think as parents, our kids feed off of us. And so if we show a positive impression and feeling to our children, that's going to put them at ease. It's going to make them feel more comfortable in a time that obviously is very stressful for them. You know, as adults, we can cope. We have mechanisms. But the children are going through, obviously, some changes that are occurring, obviously, this week with the schooling and everything. So we want to stay focused on God. Obviously, we want to be informed, but our focus should be God.
And definitely our focus is God. And in addition to that, like as I was saying, use this time to spend time with your children. We know that some of us are working from home and things have changed dramatically for everyone. So it's been difficult to adapt to this new way of living, but at the same time we can use it to be creative. Creative in how you worship, creative in things that you do at
in the meantime, what I wanted to say, thank you so much, Tanya, for that. You know, as Christians, as Seventh-day Adventists, it's important, I think, for us to understand that we have to have a relationship with God. But just as important is our relationship one with another. And how better with our families. All right, this is a time that we can not only connect, but maybe reconnect, as you were saying. And it's our opportunity to be there with our children, to help them with the schoolwork that they have, to help them in small activities. And it's funny how this last week, we see how simple we're going back to life in a very simple way. We don't have all these extra things that we can do, so we have to actually manage our time better because we just can't do whatever we want to do, what we normally do. So let's work on that. This is a tremendous opportunity, and again, always the focus being on God. Did we get any other? Okay, fantastic.
Something else.
Yes, something else.
I have to say this because my husband, I told him, you know, this is nice, but don't get used to it.
Yes.
Because he has me there for breakfast, he has me there for lunch, and he has me there for dinner. So, in a way, it's been good because I have been able to be there and spend, you know, those moments where we usually don't spend that time together. But I told him, don't get used to it. So, I'm just kidding.
It's actually awesome. And that front, I've had an awesome week by the grace of God. So what we want to do now is let's just wanted to please, as we continue in this lesson study today, we need you guys, we need feedback from you. Very important. And just, you know, nonstop, say hello. You know, I don't know, comment on our shirts or maybe our socks that you see. Just give us some feedback so we know that you're there. So what we want to do is we want to go forward and start our study this morning. And this morning's Connect Worship, in the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about the life of Joseph. Everyone knows Joseph's story, but this week we're going to start in a very simple way, just with the first 4 verses of Genesis 37 in the book of Genesis. And what I wanted to do is just to let you know that as we participate in today's story, I want you to focus on your character and how your character tells others about your relationship with God. And that's what we're really going to be studying today. Today, the lesson study is called Joseph's Home Life. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So what I wanted to do, if you can start us off, we're going to start with the lesson study in Genesis 37.
Okay.
And we'll start from there, and then we're going to have some questions for discussion and participation from all of us here in our community.
So you want me to read Genesis 37?
Genesis chapter 37, verses 1 through 4. That's where our focus is going to be today on our Connect Worship.
So we give everyone a few seconds to find that at home, on their phones, or
Actually, let me take a step back.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I actually forgot a step. And that's what happens when it's your first time on the Alive Studio. So we're sorry about that. But let's take a step back. I jumped a step in my notes here. What we're going to do is, before we're going to get into that study, we're going to do what's called set the scene. So let's set the scene, yes, with something that we've prepared for you. And it's, Tanya, you can take it away.
So setting the scene is going to consist of 3 words. And we're going to say each word individually, and then we're going to give you time to think about what these words mean and think of a person that you can relate to this word. It could be someone that you know personally. It could be someone in history, someone that's famous, someone from the Bible. So we want you to look at the word, again, think about it, and who comes to mind? This is a time that you can interject with your family members and laugh a little and come up with some good ideas. We're going to ask for you to also go ahead and give us those names that you thought of. For example, if you say the word energetic, we can think of a lot of people. And when I say energetic, I think of a couple of people.
Like someone that doesn't stop.
Jalila. She's a perfect example of energetic.
Example.
She never stops, right? She jumps from one activity to the other, and her energy is contagious, right? That's how she gets all the young people involved with different camping activities, with Pathfinders. Pastor Claudio.
Pastor
What do you have to say
Claudio.
about Pastor
No,
Claudio?
he's just like Alida, he is high energy. God bless him.
To me, he reminds me of like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, who's always jumping from one bing, 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 you know? So these are people that come to mind with this word, energetic. So our first word for you today is going to be sincere. Sincere. What comes to mind when you think of someone that is sincere? Think about it. This is a time for you to think about it. Jot down your answers and share them with us.
Okay, My Alive community. Again, I want to, before we move on with our activity here, setting the scene, I want to again invite you. I want you guys to get those pictures together right now during this worship. By 12:30, we're going to need them. Okay, we're going to pick the top 4. So I want you to tell me how you connect with your families. Show us a picture. You're praying. Maybe you're singing. Okay, maybe you're doing a family devotional. Okay, so send those in and we're going to pick the top 4. Very important that you do that ASAP, okay, as part of our live committee. So we need you guys to share with us. Yes, the pastor walked in. So we have that extra energy in the room and by the grace of God. So let's continue with our activity, setting the scene, Tyler.
So why don't you tell me who comes to your mind when I say sincere?
The word sincere. I would like to think, off the top of my head, I'm going to say...
Before you say
yes.
I have Tati. She has something that she wants to share with us.
Yes, Tati, yes.
Okay, we have Manny. He wrote Elivet is someone he thinks of when he hears the word sincere. And Carla, or Enzo, said, I think about Lewis Taylor as someone who is sincere.
That's awesome.
Thank you for sharing, guys.
Awesome. Lewis, how you doing? God bless you. Okay, anyone else that we can say that is sincere, that we can think of as being sincere? I would like to think of our pastor as being sincere. Someone that's always straight and his heart is always there. So the pastor, our pastor is sincere. And of course, I would say Elivet.
He's throwing
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Leave the check in the mail.
Okay, so we're moving on to our next word. And our next word is, can anybody guess? Of course not. Our next word is authentic. What is authenticity to you? Someone that is real, someone that
authentic.
You can count on, okay, for being authentic, right?
Amen.
What does authenticity mean to you?
Someone who's authentic is someone that doesn't matter the situation, they're always real. What you see is what you get. And so in the Bible, let's go to the Bible, I think that person authentic, I kind of almost, it's synonymous with the word someone who has integrity is Daniel. Daniel was a perfect example, in my opinion, of someone who was authentic. Didn't matter what station of his life of his life, he was always an authentic person. What you saw is what you got.
Okay, so now it's your turn to share your thoughts with us. So, to remind those that maybe just got on, we're talking about 3 words, and we want to hear back from you as to what those words mean to you or who you relate that word to. And the word that we're talking about now is authentic. We want to know who comes to your mind when you hear the word authentic.
First of all, I want to say hi to Kenneth, to Giselle. Thanks for watching. Carla said Alan Rodriguez. I believe he's the Pathfinder Director of Temple. Jessica Giussiano said Mia and Tanya Nunez. Oh.
Thank you, Jessica.
Very nice, very nice. Fantastic. Okay. And
so we're going now to our 3rd word. These first 2 words were positive words, right? Sincere and authentic. Our 3rd word, not so much. And that word is imposter.
oh wow.
Who is an imposter? What is an imposter? Someone that pretends to be something they are not. And maybe you can think about someone really quick, and maybe it might be a little tough to think about who is an imposter. Again, it could be someone you know, hopefully not, or someone in history, or someone from the Bible that has been an imposter. Okay. So again, use a next minute or so to think about who is an imposter. Who can you think about in your families, and share that with us as well.
Awesome.
Okay, so to remind everyone, our 3rd word was imposter. Who came to your mind when we say the word imposter? Did you send your feedback to us? I believe we got some feedback, and Tatiana is going to share that with us right now.
I'm going to say hi, first of all, to Suji. Thank you for watching. Jessica or her children said Robbie Rodden from Lazy Town. Carla says Jacob. Jessica also said Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And when Ed and I were talking about this yesterday, actually we went out for a walk came to mind, right? Because Judah was definitely an imposter. He played to be God's or Jesus' right hand, to be his friend, and at the end of the day, he turned out to be his betrayer, right?
Betrayer.
And so definitely Judah was an imposter.
Okay. Fantastic.
So those are our 3 words for today. We thank you for participating and sending us your feedback. And now we are going to...
Let's move along. And again, before we begin the study, I want to do another little short commercial, families. If you can send to us your pictures of how you connect with your family, in prayer maybe, in song, maybe you do it going outside, take a picture in nature, and that is... Okay, I didn't get that one, but that's good. It's all good. So please send us your picture as soon as you can. So now, let's turn over to our actual lesson study that we had spoken about earlier called... Tati has a comment. Yes.
Yes, and also like our video and share it with your friends. I also just want to say hi to Brian's mom, Catherine, and Nay. Send us your likes, send us your hearts, send us your laughing emojis, whatever you want. Interact with us, your questions.
Let us know that we're there, that you're there, please. Very important. So let's go into our study. And as I mentioned earlier, it's called Joseph's Home Life. And what I want us to focus on in today's Connect service is on what your character, perfect segue from these 3 words, what your character tells others about your relationship with God. All right? And we're going to start that, and Tanya's going to share with us the 4 verses we're going to look at today in our study. Genesis 37, verses 1 through 4. And these 4 verses will tell everything about what we're discussing today.
Okay, and it says, and Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him.
Okay, so we've set the scene, we've prepared our hearts for the experience, and now we're going to debrief these 4 verses that we have. There's a lot of information in these 4 verses, and I have some questions that I want to present to our live community so we can discuss them. Again, I need your interaction, I need your feedback on these questions. And the first question that I have is, that we're going to present, is life in Joseph's home was far from being ideal, and in many occasions it must have been unpleasant and hard to endure. As we know, Joseph came with a family. He had 10 brothers, and so he had a sister, 10 brothers. These were not his full brothers. They were brothers from another mother. His real brother was Benjamin, was his only brother, and he had a sister. And so he was in a home that we can call, was in today's world, a blended home, but all his brothers were much older than he was. It was him and Benjamin that were the youngest, right? And his sister. What situations here do you think make life hard for Joseph? And we can take that from just these first 4 verses. So if we can get some responses on that, we can begin in debriefing these texts that we have here. So I guess I'll take a minute to have some response that come back our way.
What was the question?
The question again is, life must have been difficult for Joseph in his home. There was a lot going on with a lot of people in this home. Of course, his father, Jacob, which is now Israel, had 2 wives, Leah and Rachel, and he had 11 children, 12 children, okay? And so what's difficult for him, and Joseph was one of the youngest ones, and the question is, what situations do you think made life hard for Joseph?
Send us your feedback.
Send us your
Let us know
feedback.
your thoughts.
Thank you.
Happy Sabbath once again and welcome back. We want to give a shout out to our Vice President of Hispanic here in our conference, Pastor Abdiel del Toro, who's live with us now with Connect, and to DJ, who is also live with us.
How you doing?
Thank you for joining us.
Fantastic. Awesome. So this morning, the first question we had that goes over Genesis 1 through 4 is, again, what situations do you think made life hard for Joseph? I just want to present that Joseph during this time also very important. He was a very young man, and his mother passed away giving birth to his brother Benjamin, my understanding. So that was one of the components that was going on in his life. And one of the things that I want us, as I was preparing for this, is to remember that also Joseph's father was Israel, whose name was once Jacob. And who was Jacob's father? Was Isaac. And the Bible tells us Isaac was present in the life of Joseph at this very age. As I went studying over this, preparing, I realized, so the foundation for Joseph's life as a young man was not only his father Israel, who was once Jacob, right, and fought with the angel until the angel gave him that blessing. His grandfather was Isaac. So Joseph comes from a family and a lineage of God-fearing men. And so he was obviously taught by his mother and his father the foundations in his life, though he was going through obviously some hardships, because it could not have been easy.
All right. We want to know, do we have any feedback? So I was thinking that possibly Joseph had difficulty at home for one of the reasons that you spoke about. He was among the youngest. And we know that when there's a big gap in age between siblings, there could be a lot of rivalry because sometimes parents tend to favor the younger ones because the older ones have already moved on in their lives. They're more responsible, they're independent. They don't depend so much on their parents. And also, there's that tension, right? It's like, oh, you know, when I was younger, you didn't do that for me, right? You didn't make a coat for me. But now here is Joseph, and he's the baby. We all know this goes on. This goes on in our families where, you know, our kids are like, oh, you favor so-and-so because you let them get away with murder and all these things. They go on. They go on. So I feel that Joseph did encounter a lot of this being so young.
Okay, Tati has comments. Awesome.
DJ says, it was that the brothers thought that Joseph was the best son.
Okay. Thank you, DJ, for sharing
Awesome.
that.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Thank you, DJ.
So
yeah, it happens in families, obviously, and it goes both ways. There's a feeling and sentiment from the youngest one. I can experience that. It's not easy, but it also goes from the oldest ones going in the other. It goes both directions.
there you go. That's true. You were the youngest of 6.
Yes.
And from speaking with your brothers and sisters, they didn't like you very much.
Not at all. You feel the heat.
Yes.
Most definitely. So let's go to point number 2 that I want to make about this verses. Joseph had a disposition towards obeying God's commands, while his brothers did not. So Joseph in him, at a very young age, was instilled in him the fear of God and the importance of having a relationship with God. And that was a big part of who he was.
Yes.
And obviously, as the story goes on, and we'll continue to study in this story up till the end of the book of Genesis, we will see how that foundation that he had at home comes to play out. Because that thread is there for the rest of his life. And that foundation that he received from his father, his grandfather, and his mother was everything. And at the end, it saved his family, and it saved the nation. So that's powerful. So please have your comments coming in as we continue on. He could have felt like an outsider within his own family. That's very powerful.
And that's a terrible feeling.
It's a bad feeling. So imagine amongst all of these people that were probably 20, 30 years older than him, he felt like an outsider, all right? And he and his brother Benjamin were the youngest brothers. And they were the 2 brothers, they were full brothers because they shared the same mother, Rachel. So they obviously had a connection, though obviously Benjamin was younger. But then he had all these other brothers and sisters that were so much older. Okay, so that was question number 1. Let's go to question number 2. And it says, in spite of the difficulties Joseph faced at home, why do you think he brought their father a negative report, as it says in the verse, about his brothers? Knowing that he's already not on the top of his brother's list, he comes back with a bad report telling them, wow, my brothers are just hanging out in the field, they're not doing much, they're not taking care of the sheep, they're partying, they're doing whatever. I mean, but he still came back with a negative report. So what do you guys think? What made him bring back this negative report about his brothers? Why would he do that?
Why would you do that?
So let's go to some of the comments.
Let's hear what you have to say.
What do you have to say about that? Okay, Alive community, so we're back here in question number 2. In spite of the difficulties Joseph faced at home, why do you think he brought their father a negative report? Okay, I have here noted, some would think that he was a tattletale, right? That's the first thing we think about, especially if the person is very young. I remember being called tattletale all the time. Letting my parents know about boyfriends and girlfriends that came over, and I would always tattletale. But it was for their own good at the end of the day. But anyway, this idea would not coincide with the description of Joseph's character. The fact that he reported to his father gives the indication that he was given a supervisory role over his brothers. Think about that. He was only 17 years old. He's monitoring men, grown men that are 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. So how much did Israel really confide in his children, in his older kids? Right. Not a whole lot when he's giving supervisory role to his 17-year-old son. That just goes to show you, I think, the state of where his other children were.
Well, it also makes me think, like, God tells, if you are faithful in the little, then he can give you more,
Amen.
right? And I believe that that's what happened in Joseph's life, that his father gave him perhaps little tasks to do. And Joseph always came through. He was always obedient. He was always respectful. He always finished whatever his father gave him to do. And so this led him to get to that role where he was supervising his older brothers. I mean, like you said, there was a gap in age, and here we have the 17-year-old who's being asked to monitor his older brothers.
His older brothers, imagine. Okay, so let's go on to question number 3 that I have. Let's consider Jacob's actions, okay? What do you think about the actions of Jacob of giving Joseph an ornate robe, a beautiful robe, without regards to the animosity that existed among the brothers, right? Everybody knows from the story, there was even a Broadway play on it, Joseph's Technicolor coat. His coat was an amazing, beautiful coat. What were the actions you think that, again, the question is, let's consider Jacob, his father's actions. What do you think about the action of Jacob giving his son an ornate robe without regards to the animosity that existed among his 10 older brothers?
Wow, that's pretty.
It's powerful, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's take a break so we can get some comments on question number 3.
Send us your comments.
Send us your comments and your pictures, please.
Praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your
So we want to hear. Do we have any feedback?
Fantastic,
Okay.
fantastic.
Yes, DJ says, I think that he didn't think that the brothers would take regard to what he did.
Okay, very good, DJ. Perhaps, like he said, that Jacob thought
They didn't
they're
care.
not going to say anything. They
They
don't
didn't
care.
say
They don't even really pay mind to Joseph, right? But was he right? No. The brothers were well aware of what Jacob was doing, his behavior, and how he really favored Joseph.
Wow, that's true. By showing public favoritism over Joseph, his father showed how quickly we can forget important life's lessons. Because if we remember, earlier in the Bible, Jacob himself experienced being looked over by his own father, right? His father, who his favorite was Esau, obviously, okay? His brother Esau. And we know how that story developed, with Joseph having to leave his home in fear of his life. Let's go to question number 4. Tanya. Okay, question number 4 is, Joseph's brothers hated him because of his godly character. Have you, in your life, Alive Community, I'm going to present this question, have you experienced a similar situation? And if so, what has been your response? Okay? Have you experienced a similar situation like what happened with Joseph with his brothers?
Yes.
And what was your response? I'm going to give you an opportunity to get some feedback from us at this time on question number 4. Thank you.
Sing what you can do, oh God of wonders. Your power has no end. The things you've done before, in greater measure, you will do again. 'Cause there's no prison wall you can't break through, no mountain you can't move. All things are possible. There's no broken body you can't raise, no soul you can't save.
Wait for him, his cue.
Okay, so to remind everyone of question number 4, have you experienced a similar situation as Joseph where his brothers hated him because of his godly character? Now, a lot of times when people find out that we are Christians, that we follow Christ, that we believe in God, sometimes they look at us in a weird fashion, right? They think we're like goody tissues, and they think that we believe we're perfect and that there's nothing that we can do wrong, and that is totally opposite of what a Christian is like. So I guess it leads me to believe that we need to walk the talk, right? Because people are looking at our behavior, and little by little, I believe if you show God's character, you will be loved, not hated. But in the life of Joseph, he did experience some pain, and we see that in his life, right, as the story progresses. But if you have ever experienced the disgust of others due to your Christ-like actions, don't dismay. It says continue to do what is correct. Don't allow self-pity or fear of what others think lead you to do wrong actions. Again, what you do is going to speak volumes of who you are and who Christ is in your life. And here it continues to say that remember that God's got your back, and in his time, he will give you victory over your enemies.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen. Amen. Fantastic. So let's move along to our next question, also here on this topic of Joseph and his home life. And the question that I want to bring before you is, think of Jacob, the father's actions, one more time. Do you think it's good in our daily life to publicly show favoritism over someone? It could be in a situation in our home with our children, family member. It could be in the workplace. It could be also amongst our friends. You think it's smart, that it's prudent for us to show favoritism? Because at the end of the day, right, we saw the reaction of Joseph's older brothers. And that led to some issues. And keep in mind, there's history that's already there from the father Jacob when he had his situation with his brother Esau. So the question that I have for you, my Alive community is, do you think it's smart, it's prudent, it's good to publicly show favoritism over someone in different areas of our life? So, it'll take a minute for you, for our community to come back and to respond to us.
And give us your honest feedback.
Honest feedback, that's important. Please, thank you.
Okay, so we have an answer. DJ says, no, it's not good at all. It can lead to trouble. Thank you, DJ.
Have been a great responder. Thank you for participating.
Thank you so much. You're the champion. I appreciate that. Awesome. So I'm going to segue into this next question. Is Joseph's brothers became angry at Joseph because of the favoritism showed by his dad? What are some behaviors to avoid when we believe favoritism exists in the social environments that we come into play with at home, at work, in family environments? So some of the notes that I have here is we should avoid acting based on our emotions, as these may be very likely to bring negative emotions. Pray to God. It's very important,
Yes.
Tanya. We need to pray to God to give us wisdom in these situations, to give us guidance, and to give us confidence about ourselves, to avoid needing someone else's constant approval, because that's what it is. And then once we're shown the favoritism, we're going to always be wanting that. So I have a comment that just came in.
All right, Suji says, no, because it would bring animosity between the siblings. And Enzo says, no, I don't think it's right to show favoritism.
That's very true. It brings animosity amongst your siblings, and you don't want to do that, right? You want to have your children feel that they are loved equally by both parents.
Amen. So we should avoid about speaking negatively about anyone, bad-mouthing them, and we're only going to make matters worse. In the end, speaking negatively of others will reflect poor on our character on our part. Remember, words spoken can never be erased. Let's go to the next question, as we just have a few minutes. Let's consider the fact that even though Joseph was only 17 years old, he was like a junior in high school, maybe a senior, and one of the youngest of his family, he developed a different character than the rest of his brothers. Who do you believe influenced Joseph's character? Who believe? I'm going to give you a minute or so to get back some feedback as we're winding down to the last question or two. Who do you believe was a big influence on Joseph's character?
And we know that you're sharing amongst each other, and perhaps it's a little difficult to share with your family and send us your feedback. But if you can, even if it's delayed, please do send us your feedback. We We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you're talking about with your family.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Things are possible. Things are possible. It's time for the sleeper to wake.
DJ Roten.
Okay, so fantastic. Our next to last question was again, though Joseph was only 17 years old, he developed a different character than the rest of his brothers and sisters, which is evident in the story. We have a comment that's coming through. Tati?
All right, DJ said the father because he gave him everything he wanted.
Awesome. Thank you, DJ. Fantastic. That's very true.
Who else do you think had influence?
As I studied this week, I didn't realize, and I shared it with earlier, is that his grandfather was Isaac. And we all know about Isaac. We know his lineage. His grandfather was an old man who was there also teaching him, and obviously his father, Jacob, who became Israel. Tati has another comment. Awesome.
Natasha said Joseph's grandparents, and the people that surrounded him.
Thank you, Natasha. for
Thank you.
sharing.
That's awesome. And we'll continue. Let's keep this in mind as we continue the next few weeks in this study of Joseph. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Let's go to the left. Oh, we have another comment. Fantastic. There's a flurry of activity here. Awesome.
Suji said his dad influenced a lot. Proof of that is that when his brothers found him in Egypt, the brother told him how sad was his dad. That means they had a really strong connection of love.
Thank you, Suji, for sharing that.
Amen. That's awesome. What a connection between father and son. That's powerful. Okay, so in our final question for our Connect worship today is, now in the current environment that we're in, that you get to spend more time with your family members, how can you use this opportunity to acquaint your family or learn about your life experience on how God has been real and faithful to you? You want to go over that again? I want you to read that also for me. You have it there. So if you can reiterate question number 8 again.
So it says, now that you get to spend some more time with your family members, how can you use this opportunity to acquaint your family or learn about your life experiences on how God has been real and faithful to you?
Amen. So let's take a minute. We can get some responses and then we'll come back. Thank you so much.
So DJ said You ask them how was God in their life and how God influenced them. Thank you, DJ.
Thank you, DJ. Awesome.
And I wanted to share how I feel that God has been faithful to me